There you go. Thank you. Right, we're live. We're good. Okay. So again, my name is Barrett. I'm the president. My career has spanned business, economic, and workforce development. I now work as a business services representative with Arizona at Work Maricopa County, where I match job seekers with employers. And I've been a member of NETPA amazingly for over 7 years. Where's it gone? The next, please, is Jose Rojas, our Vice President and Treasurer. So for the past 30 years, Jose has served in various capacities in social services. He currently works as a Senior Project Manager with Employment and Rehabilitation for Aetna Inc. And he is a proponent of employment and psychosocial rehabilitation services. And Jose recognizes their impact on members finding their passion. Jose intends to continue working within public health sectors, guided by his purpose to ensure quality services, staff development, and transformative change. So there's Jose. Next up, we have Maggie, who is our secretary, is an experienced economic development manager with a demonstrated history of working in the health and wellness industry. Her employment history includes AT&T, US Chamber of Commerce, and Mercy Care again. Maggie has skills in sales, business development, management, training, human resources, and economic development. And Maggie has been a member of NETPA for over 10 years. So moving on to our next board member, Sharon Cedarwenski. Sherry earned her bachelor's degree at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. She spent the last 13 years in workforce development, bringing business and job seekers together, working with TANF and RIOA contractors, as well as the grant programs. Sherry worked as an apprenticeship training representative for the Arizona Apprenticeship Office, and then as a regional program manager. Excitedly, she recently joined Hamilton Riker Talent Grow, which is an intermediary sponsor for registered apprenticeships, and she's a grant manager for them. In her spare time, Sherry enjoys exploring new restaurants, sightseeing, spending time with her family, and most importantly, her dog. So moving on to our next board member, Leah Hill. Leah has a master's degree in project management and maintains certifications as a nationally certified workforce development professional, and has 3 career coaching certifications. During her day job, she specializes in and enjoys creating and enhancing pipelines, partnerships, and pathways to healthcare employment at Mayo Clinic. After work, Leah enjoys hiking, biking, spending time with her family and friends. She also enjoys traveling, cooking, and building her career coaching and HR consulting practice. That's Leah. So now we have Winslow, who is another board member, and he's also our social media specialist, which we're very grateful for. He moved to the United States in 2010, where he attended the University of Iowa. He was received a bachelor's degree in psychology. When he graduated, he started working for nonprofit organizations, assisting people with disabilities. And in 2016, he moved to Phoenix and started working as a job developer for Valley Life. So for the past 5 years, he's been striving to connect unemployed populations with local employers and get people back to the workforce, very important. Professionally, Winslow recently graduated from Grand Canyon University with an MBA degree in Strategic Human Resources Management. He also received SHRM CP certification and is a member of the SHRM Greater Phoenix chapter. With all his knowledge, he's hoping to better serve his clients and gain a better understanding of employers' concerns in talent recruitment and retention. On a personal note, Winslow enjoys exploring the wonderful Phoenix food scene, and he loves trying out different restaurants and tries to cook the recipes that he finds online. So that is our board, and again, welcome. So what are our core values? We're very, very wedded to our core values. Connecting the underserved to the right employers. We feel some job seekers are underserved, for example, those with limited English and a criminal background, and we're very keen to help them. We believe in and grow our community. We feel very passionate about providing employment resources to job seekers, enabling them to build a better life for themselves and their families. And of course, we connect them with employers to help them grow their company. We like to do what's unconventional. Just because it's always been done like that doesn't mean to say it can't be improved and we can change to do something different. And our purpose, together with our community partners, we recognize job seekers with barriers and challenges, and we connect them to long-term gainful employment. And finally, our vision. Our vision is that in 3 years, at least 50 companies belong to the NETPA organization. They receive guidance, support, and direction as we help them hire qualified individuals who are facing barriers to employment. So yes, please, this is a real shout out to join NEPA. We have a very reasonable subscription, only $25 a year for an individual subscription and $75 for a company or an organization of up to 5 employees. All of our board members actually just started out as members. So if you have any questions about membership, please ask any of us. And now I'm going to briefly turn it over to Leah, who's going to talk about a recent development that we're going to have. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, Verily. Good morning, all. Happy Friday. So glad to see all of you this morning. As a follow-up to last month's meeting, I just wanted to take this opportunity to solicit feedback from our membership on this call this morning. We value your input and we really want to hear from you. So in response to what we kind of started talking about last month, we were talking about the NETPA newsletter. A lot of individuals have requested to receive our newsletter, and in the past, it's been in kind of a hibernation state. And this is really our opportunity to evolve or have this newsletter experience a renaissance. And so again, we want to hear from you as to what you are looking for in this newsletter. Some just rough draft ideas that I'll throw out there, maybe for your consideration, may include announcing new members, both at the corporate and individual level, a member spotlight, upcoming events, or opportunities for training or employment. And again, I welcome your feedback. So I'm going to open it up briefly to the membership because we want to make sure that we have time for Travis's presentation. But why don't we go ahead and kind of talk within the group for a few minutes. So love to hear from anyone and everyone.
Thank you, Leah. So as anyone, what do you think? This is all about our members. So what do you think? Would you welcome this?
Right now, Verily, I think the way the webinar is set up, they can use the chat feature and put their comments in the chat.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you. So let's have a look at the chat.
Winslow has also added our email address to the chat box. So if you all are being a Friday morning kind of lost for ideas, or if ideas come to you after today, please jot down this email address and we'd love to continue this conversation. But when the board talked about this earlier this morning, we were talking about maybe a quarterly newsletter. And so again, what information are you looking for from us to keep the momentum alive after these monthly meetings?
Yeah, so please consider what Leah is discussing with you. And if you don't have any suggestions right now, that is totally okay. But the email address for NEPA is in the chat. Please feel free to send us some suggestions. And we're going to get started on a quarterly newsletter to keep you guys informed of the great things that we're doing. So thank you so much. And I'm going to get the presentation.
Yeah,
thank you, Jose.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Leah. We're very excited about this. We think it'll be great for our members. And again, we would welcome any feedback, any ideas. Please feel free to email us. So thank you very much. So now, moving on, we are delighted to welcome Travis Leybeck this morning. He is the ASU Associate Director, Corporate Partnerships and Alumni Engagement, Career and Professional Development Services. And Travis is going to share how he helps employers make connections with top university talent. Travis, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Barrett, and thanks for everyone for having me join today. Jose, you have my presentation, correct?
Yep, I'll get it up right now. Give me 1 second.
Perfect. And we can slide over to slide 2, and I'll just do a quick introduction myself. So again, hello, everybody. My name is Travis Leybeck. I am an associate director with Career and Professional Development Services here at ASU. To give you a just brief overview of Career and Professional Development Services, we're the umbrella career center for the university. So we service students from all majors and all programs. We do have alumni career services as part of our responsibilities. So any alum coming back looking to either upskill or maybe career change or something like that will also come through our office. We're also responsible for the large career fairs that happen on campus. We also do vetting of employers and positions posted for students. And my main role is employer facing. I work with employers who are trying to get access to the university. As we'll go through in this presentation, ASU is a bit of a monster. And so it can be a little tough to navigate and work through. But that's where I come in and help employers engage and get connected with students. Go ahead and flip to the next slide. Awesome. So I love starting any of my presentations with the ASU charter. When I was a student at ASU, we didn't have a charter. So when I came back as an employee, this was great to see. It's something that our staff and faculty live by as part of what we do in our work. Our students know that this is the goal of the university overall. There's a few key phrases in here that really speak to me and what I do in my job that I always like to highlight. And it's the fact that ASU, at ASU, we measure ourselves not by whom we exclude, but rather whom we include and how they succeed. A lot of universities pride themselves on having a 10% acceptance rate or a 20% acceptance rate because they feel like they're weeding out a lot of students, but really what they're doing is restricting education. And so we make sure that we make education accessible, that students, when they come here, they have the tools and resources to be able to be successful, to graduate and move on to a career. Likewise, a major component of what we do here and another part that speaks to me is that ASU assumes fundamental responsibility for the economic, social, cultural, and overall health of the communities it serves. Now that seems like a pretty ambitious goal, to have a university assuming responsibility for its communities. And especially when you think about a university as large as ASU, our community obviously includes Maricopa County, but it also includes the state of Arizona. It includes the 50 states our graduates go to. It includes the 153 countries our students are from and are possible to return to after they graduate. And likewise, just wherever our graduates end up across the country. We had an event last night called Founders Day. It's a celebration of when ASU was founded, happens to be on St. Patrick's Day as well. So, fun interaction and opportunity. But as part of that, we celebrated some of our graduates that are doing work across the world and doing some really remarkable things. And that's just another way ASU serves communities internationally as well. And start with a few facts and figures just to give the group here an idea of scale and what we're talking about with at ASU. So we'll dive into that and our student population and information. Okay, so in case you're new to the state of Arizona and haven't been on any of our freeways or seen any of the ASU buses, ASU is #1 in innovation. We've held that title for the last 7 years, and it's actually since that recognition has been created by US News and World Report, ASU has been at the top of the charts for that every single year. We're ahead of prestigious universities like MIT and Stanford, and it really is because of the things we do with research, with engaging students and connecting with them and providing access to education. But we're not just #1 in innovation. We've got a lot of other recognition and things that we rank in. So Princeton Review has ranked us as a top university for undergraduate education. We're also a top graduate education school, number 8 in the world for excellence in employer-student connections. So how we engage with employers and create those connections with our students, we're ranked number 8 from QS World Ranking in that. We're also number 6 among US universities for tech company hires. I think when a lot of people think of tech company hires, they think of Silicon Valley schools or maybe the Harvard's, Princeton's of the world. ASU is number 6 on that list. And so pretty prestigious in that space and held in high regard from companies like Microsoft, Apple, Google to be able to hire our graduates. We're also number 4 in the US for undergraduate STEM degrees. So highly ranked. Our business school, our engineering school, our nursing school are all highly ranked in their own regards and in their own industries as well. So then let's talk about scale and what ASU does. So we have 350, actually closer to 400 now, undergraduate degree programs that students can study. That's spread out across about 27 colleges. So we cover a large gamut of academic programs and disciplines that students can get connected in. And there's also the Barrett Honors College, which they can use to supplement their degree program. There's lots of different ways students can explore learning and likewise industries and careers that leads to. Last year was our highest year ever for the number of degrees we awarded, the number of students we graduated at almost 32,000 graduates from Arizona State University. Now that's one of the things I like to highlight in that, and it kind of goes in parallel with the next number, is that one of the things that's sometimes a concern with ASU and our capacity and our size is what are we doing for the state of Arizona? That's always a question. We're growing rapidly. We're bringing students in internationally as well as from across the country. Where do they go? Well, ASU keeps about 60% of its talent in Arizona, which is similar to the amount of talent that comes to us from the state of Arizona. So we are not a brain drain on the state. We're actually importing talent and keeping them here in Arizona to work for companies here. So of that 32,000 that graduated last year, roughly 24,000 of them or so will end up staying in the state and working for companies here. Likewise, those 519,000 worldwide alumni, about 300,000 of them are here in the state of Arizona. So we keep that talent here. They end up working for companies here in Arizona. As of fall of this past fall 2021, we had 135,000 enrolled students in our program. That's graduate and undergraduate students. That does include online and on-campus students. As you can see from the graph there, we've had significant growth with our digital immersion students and getting a lot of students that are studying online, both here in Arizona and from across the country. But we've still maintained steady growth in our full immersion student population, those who are attending on one of the 4 campuses here in Arizona. Over the past 9 years, that's grown from about 62,000 to almost 80,000 on one of our 4 campuses. So then I like to highlight student demographics as well, because again, one of the things when I work with employers, sometimes they'll get skeptical. Well, ASU accepts so many students, how can there be quality? How can that reflect what I'm trying to do with hiring talent into my organization? And these are just some of the numbers that highlight our student diversity, as well as our student success and what we do, again, for the state, and likewise, just students coming out of our program. So we did have first-year students, the highest percentage in ASU's history, 66% of incoming in-state first-year students received one of our new American University scholarships. So they're receiving financial aid, but they're also high achieving. 27% of our students are first generation. One of their parents, or neither of their parents or immediate family has graduated from a university before. So that's a significant portion of our student population and shows our commitment to access to education. We're number 1 in the state out of the state universities when it comes to first year retention. Almost 90% of our freshmen come back for their sophomore year, which is a significant achievement keeping them in our system, making sure that they're set up for success, that they can finish their degree program and move on to onto the workforce. Additionally, one of the things that ASU has kind of recently come across, I mentioned as part of our charter that we're measured by whom we include and how they succeed. 46% of our students come from minority backgrounds in 2019, and that number continues to grow. We are now at a point where both our large Tempe campus, where we have about 60,000 students, 65,000 students on campus, as well as our downtown location, where there are about 10,000 students. If you've never been down there, it's a really neat college environment. Both of those campuses are recognized as Hispanic serving institutions. Our university population and enrollment is very reflective of Maricopa County when it comes to racial demographics. And that's something we've worked really hard for and is not typical for a university. So we're really proud of that. I mentioned Barrett Honors College. So Barrett Honors College was established to keep our most talented young people in the state. And students at that college have an average GPA coming out of high school of 4.32, which is pretty significant. We also have 400 National Hispanic Merit Scholars as part of the Barrett Honors College. So just one last point that I like to speak about when I'm talking to employers is understanding the audience. Who is your current college student, upcoming college graduate, and what are they interested in? My background's in psychology, so I love this stuff. I get a kick out of this quite a bit. And so it's been really fascinating to see our student body kind of turn over in my 3 years here. So most of our traditional college students, so those who attended college immediately after they graduated high school, those can all be essentially considered Gen Z students. Now we do have non-traditional learners. We have students who have taken longer to finish their degrees. We have students who have come back, have maybe spent 10 years as a professional and are now just adding on their degree. So it's not that they're all Gen Z, but they are our traditional learners, our Gen Z population. Now, one of the things to consider and know about Gen Zs is that they do have some different priorities than maybe previous college graduates and things that they consider. And honestly, the COVID pandemic has even changed some of those goals even more. I've heard Gen Z described as the video game generation, and this idea that, well, if I do this step and this step and this step, then I get to move up to the next level. And I encourage employers to kind of consider that and think about that as they're drafting their entry-level job positions, as they're onboarding candidates from a university. How do they define that career path? Because that's extremely important to a Gen Z graduate. While compensation is always a priority and always will be for a new college graduate, Gen Z has been at least more open to taking lesser pay as a starting role, as long as there's a defined path to move up and work through the organization. Likewise, Gen Z has goals and desires for mentorship, for diversity and inclusion from their organization. I mentioned a defined career path and workplace flexibility. I say workplace flexibility because prior to the pandemic, a huge question I was getting from employers was, well, do students want to work remote? I hear students want to work remote. And I think that was somewhat of a desire, but we learned from the pandemic that being on a computer screen all the time is not very much fun, and it's not great for workplace culture. So we've seen kind of a turn back to where there's a desire for workplace flexibility. I would like to come in the office and have meetings with my team, maybe go to happy hour or something like that. But I also have days where it makes sense for me to be at home, where I don't have to deal with a commute on a particular day, or I have an activity immediately starting after work that it's going to be easier for me to deal with. Being able to have that flexibility and work with their organization on what that looks like has become a top desire for Gen Z. Likewise, as with previous years, the diversity of our student body continues to grow. Likewise, the diversity of our graduates. Seeing success from our Latinx students, from our Black and African American students, from our Indigenous students, and as well as our international students, being able to finish out their program and graduate and move on to the workforce has been a strong goal for ASU as an institution, and we're continuing to meet that goal and exceed nationwide standards for what that looks like. And so then just a little bit more about what we do in Arizona. I mentioned ASU. Well, we have students across all 50 states, as well as our 3 territories. We have over 13,000 international students who choose to come to ASU. There are actually currently over 50,000 online students. I mentioned earlier, our student population is a reflection of our community and the demographics there. And likewise, again, ASU graduates, 60% of them stay in Arizona for employment and end up working here, mostly in Maricopa County, but definitely across the state. I mentioned those celebrations we had at Founders Day of some of our graduates, and one of them was a former ASU women's basketball player who grew up on the reservation in Northern Arizona and went back to serve her community and was really influential during the COVID pandemic, and just was a great opportunity for her to move back to where she was from in Northern Arizona. So they do end up across the state for employment, but a lot of them do end up staying here in the Phoenix area. I mentioned we're a net gain in the state of Arizona. So we do have graduates who are from Arizona, grew up here, and they just want to try something new. They want to move to Chicago, or want to get into the federal government and move to DC. There are some hot markets for students to relocate to, but likewise, there are students who come here from Wisconsin, from Minnesota, from Texas, and want to stay in the state and find work here. And so that it's a good a reflection on ASU and being able to keep the talent here in Arizona. So with that, I'll dive a little bit into what my office does, because we're responsible for helping those 135 students get employed and providing the resources for them. So again, ASU Career and Professional Development Services, we're the umbrella career center for the university. I mentioned our campuses across the Phoenix area. So I'll provide just a brief overview of these campuses, what it looks like, but we do have physical locations in 4 areas of the Valley, as well as we have a satellite campus in Lake Havasu. We have a campus in Los Angeles, believe it or not, which is really fun to have, Arizona State University, Los Angeles. And we also have a campus in Washington, DC. We have physical locations here at each of our 4 campuses in the Phoenix area, as well as the Future Center, which is the Center for the Liberal Arts College, which I'll get into a little bit more in a little bit as well. But providing you persona of each one of these campuses, and likewise what Career Services does at each of these campuses. We have our downtown Phoenix campus, as I mentioned, has about 11,000 students attending there in person. So it's growing, it's right in the middle of downtown. It's really neat to be down there and see the growth and how ASU has integrated into the community there. Some of the most common programs that are at our downtown Phoenix campus are our social service programs. So like political science, social work, tourism, some of our social sciences like psychology can be down there at the downtown campuses, as well as our health programs. So our College of Health Solutions and our College of Nursing. Our journalism school is down there, as well as Harvard School of International Business are down at the downtown campus. So it's a variety of students studying a bunch of different programs down there. And we cater our services towards the students that are going through those programs and engaging with those employers at those programs. The Polytechnic campus is far out in East Mesa. It's actually on the Gateway Airport out there, that campus. And so that does have a variety of programs, some liberal arts programs, as well as engineering and aerospace programs that exist at the Polytechnic campus. Same thing, we adjust our services based on student need at those campuses. Tempe is our largest campus. Again, about 65,000 students here studying in Tempe. on campus and taking a variety of programs. Now, I will take a step back here and again, describe the environment of career services at ASU. I mentioned CPDS being the umbrella university or umbrella career center for the university. Our School of Business, WP Carey, as well as our Fulton Schools of Engineering, both have about 27,000 students each when you include undergraduate and graduate students. They are small universities in their own right and have found ways to justify career centers. Our office works in close partnership with them. We still are responsible for the career fairs, the employer vetting, but those schools will have specific tailored programs to employers that focus on some of those spaces. So they may have a boutique fair for those students in accounting or in supply chain as examples from WP Carey. Likewise, Fulton will have boutique programs, maybe in IT as an example, or construction. And again, we work in partnership with them. We encourage those employers to come to the larger fairs because a construction firm may need some of those construction engineers and civil engineers, but they also might need human resources that will come from a different program, or marketing or sales. And so there's some of those opportunities for students to connect at a variety of career centers here in Tempe. Our West Campus is actually, I call our North Campus. It's not appropriate for like working internally, but for geography, I think it makes sense to me. It's located about 43rd Avenue in Thunderbird. So it is towards the north side of town, but it does serve the West Valley as well and the graduates there. There's about 6,000 students that attend there at the West Campus in a variety of programs. And then I mentioned our Future Center, where CPDS does have a physical location to help our students specifically out of the Liberal Arts College. So the Liberal Arts College in Tempe, similar size to WP Carey and Fulton mentioned earlier, at about 25 to 27,000 students. Each one of those colleges could be considered the largest college at ASU, depending on how you measure them. But we're centered right there and have a physical location and staff at the Future Center with the Liberal Arts College.
Travis?
Yes, I saw the chat was blowing up. Were there some questions there?
Yes, thank you. Is this a natural pause for you if you have a minute?
Pause here.
Okay, excellent. There's a request in the chat to talk with you privately. So a few individuals may be reaching out to you via private message within the Zoom platform, or I said that you might be sharing your contact information at the end of the presentation. But just wanted to call your attention to that when you have a minute. And then also there are inquiries from participants about being ASU graduates and needing some professional development help. So if that's not part of your presentation, maybe we could talk about that before you conclude.
Yeah, I'm happy to dive into that right now and discuss it briefly. So I did mention my big, long, terrible title is I'm Associate Director of Corporate Partnerships and Alumni Engagement, which does include alumni career services. And so our alums do have the opportunity to come back for career advising, resume assistance, and we have our advisors there that can kind of help students navigate that. Likewise, access to Handshake, which I'll talk about briefly, but being able to get into the system if they're looking for another resource to find jobs, working within Handshake, which is the job posting system within ASU. Those are all options available for our alums as well. I will say too, I want to do just a brief plug for Alumni Career Services. A little bit on my background prior to coming to ASU. I had been in sales and business development mostly. My degree is in psychology, and I had always wanted to get into the nonprofit space. And so I came back to ASU as a professional 8 years after I graduated. And spoke with them and said, hey, I would love to get into nonprofit, but I can't start over. I can't start at the bottom. I've got kids, I'm married. Is there a way to shape my skills to help me get into the nonprofit world? And they helped me do that. They helped me tailor my resume for nonprofit language versus corporate sales language, helped me build a network within the nonprofit community and connect with them. And I was able to then transition my career and move into higher education, and I did work in nonprofit for a few years, and then came to ASU after some of my previous experiences. And honestly, the position I have now is just that neat mold of all of the different skills that I've developed through sales, higher education, and nonprofit. So we do have those resources available to graduates, and I can share, I'll share my contact information at the end and help get connected with the right resources. Again, most of my role is company facing, but we do have several staff that can work with students and alums on their advising. Leah, were there any other questions that needed to be addressed?
Not at this time. Thank you, Travis.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And this does kind of bring us into this slide. What are the services that Career Services offers? We do one-on-one career advising, and so working with students either to help them navigate Handshake, which is our internal job board, or potentially Indeed, LinkedIn, those kinds of things, and working on developing the skills and information on the resume to get positions. We do career and skill assessments. So maybe your major is in a particular category, but your skills just aren't working in an industry that you've connected with. Let's do some research and find industries that work for you. As mentioned, we do career fairs and professional development events. We were able to have our first in-person career fairs in January and February, which was really exciting. It's been 2 years since we've held those events, and we had over 1,000 students attend both our internship fair and our career fair in person. The typical busy seasons for those events are February and September each year. So shortly after the semester starts each year. We also do employer outreach and coaching, which is a lot of why I'm here and engaged here. I mentioned I'm mostly employer facing, and a big part of that is helping employers establish their brand, connect on campus, find the academic programs that make the most sense to recruit from, and making those connections. And then maintaining recruiting processes and standards. We want to make sure that our students are getting the best job opportunities that are available to them. And so making sure that the employers that are coming to campus have our students' best interests in mind, that pay scales are on market trend, and that they have the information of what that looks like. And likewise, just working with third-party recruiters, not that third-party recruiters can't recruit on campus, but then there are some standards and additional rules that apply to third-party recruiters. So those are just some examples of what our office does on behalf of the university. So this is another category and thing that is, I feel, important for employers to understand. And likewise, we've connected with students on. So I'll go back again to my history here at ASU. So I mentioned I graduated with a psychology degree. I came to the Career Center as a senior, getting ready to graduate, said, hey, I'm getting ready to graduate with my psychology degree. Can you help me find a job? And they said, oh yeah, sure, great. Psychology degree, here's a flyer for Teach for America, or you can go work as a behavioral health tech for $9 an hour on a night shift. And neither one of those options sounded very appealing to me at the time. And not that they're not great opportunities. It just didn't fit what I was trying to do. Even though I was a psychology major, a liberal arts major, I did enjoy business. I enjoyed understanding and working in business. And so I walked away from there kind of disappointed and not sure what I wanted to do. ASU has transformed the way we operate within our Career Center. Now, when a student comes into our office, it's not, the first question is not, what is your major? It's what do you want to do? What is your goal? What have you thought about you want to do when you leave school? And we connect them within what we call career interest communities. And so being able to work with a psychology student who is also interested in sustainability and getting them connected with an employer in that space, or a business student who may be coming out as a business graduate, but does want to work and be a leader in the nonprofit world. We'll connect them with the public, social, and human services category. So it's having this overlap and conversation of skills and interest that major, while major can equal job, it doesn't have to equal a very specific industry. Likewise, I work on the other direction, other side of that, making sure employers are coached on the skills that our students are learning and that students aren't pigeonholed into their major from the employer side. That employers, you may be in banking as an example and be able to get talent out of the business school, but there are lots of liberal arts majors that can benefit the banking industry, or looking at tech and understanding that they need a lot of engineers, but there are those other overlaps and opportunities to connect with students to fill other roles that the organization might have. So I work with employers to kind of coach them through this and work them through this so that we're recruiting across an institution, and likewise across the university for talent. So I did see a few other questions pop up.
Yes, Travis, can you tell us a little bit more about how ASU may work with students with disabilities in terms of being able to pursue and sustain employment?
Yeah, so we have a resource center. It's called SAILS, and I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but it is our resource center for disabled students, which does include, we work with them, and we do work with employers that have goals around hiring individuals with disabilities. And so to be able to connect in that space and likewise provide students with the resource and connections to be successful is a resource we have in that space to help students that can benefit from those programs.
Thank you, Travis. And then we also have an inquiry from a Wildcat down south who would like to know if there are any opportunities for career services for non-ASU grads.
So a non-ASU grad wouldn't be able to take advantage of our alumni resources and the things that we have. First of all, I would encourage you to call U of A and their career center and see if they do have any resources for alumni. Now, that being said, our career fairs are open to the community. We're a public university, so we do provide access to the public with some of our activities. So when we do have career fairs, those are available to be attended by any member of the public. And so the best place, since you're not part of the ASU ecosystem, the best place to see the dates and know when those events are coming up is to connect either with ASU Career Services, Career and Professional Development Services, either connect with us on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, where we promote upcoming events and talk about the opportunities. And that way you can put it on the calendar, come by as a community member, we'll check you in as a community member and you're able to walk through.
Thank you, Travis. And last question, this might be the most important question that you covered this morning for especially those of us familiar with the Tempe community. I'm assuming this is for the Tempe campus, but maybe for the downtown or other campuses as well. Where can you park on campus, especially if you're coming to visit you and your team?
Yeah, so there's not any free parking even for me on campus. So I pay for my parking spot as well. So there is, if you're coming to the Tempe campus and you want to visit Career and Professional Development Services, or if you're attending a career fair, which we usually host at the Memorial Union, there's a garage on Apache near Gamage, and actually Gamage has visitor parking as well, or the garage on Apache has visitor parking. I think the garage is like $16 a day and Gamage is like $12 a day, something like that, to be able to park on campus, and they have hourly rates as well. But Career and Professional Development Services is housed in the Student Services building at ASU, which is near the MU. But it's actually, my window here in CPDS actually looks out to Gamage, which is really cool. I have the coolest office, I think, on campus. But so we're right between Gamage and the Memorial Union.
Thank you, Travis.
I think another question I saw on the comment was from Garrett, was wondering if the employers has any way to reach out to ASU to set up the, I guess, participate in panel or job fairs on campus to help to recruit. How do they contact anyone?
Yeah, perfect. So Winslow, I think in the next few slides, I'll be covering some of that. And then if there's still questions on that, then I can take those questions towards the end. So Jose, if you want to flip to the next slide, I think the next slide is where I'm starting to address that. There you go, how companies engage. So this is where I will talk about how companies can connect with myself as well as the university and participate. And again, if there are any additional questions that I don't address, feel free to put them in the chat, and I think we'll address it towards the end. So engaging with our students, we asked, there were questions about classroom presentations and attending job fairs, posting positions. All of those are key activities for employers here at the university. So these are just some of the ways that employers can engage. Again, I'm kind of a tour guide for employers in this space, and being able to get them connected and work with them in these different ways to engage. So some examples: connecting with our student clubs and organizations. Now, I will tell you, ASU does have 1,100 student clubs and organizations. There's a lot of them. Now, about 250 of those clubs are academic or career focused. So those are the best ones to connect with. I usually have close connections with about 25 to 30 of them each year, depending on how their leadership turns over. And so that's where I help employers start making those connections and meeting with students who are in the club space. There's also opportunities for sponsorship. I have a sponsorship program here out of my office for companies that want to increase their brand and get more connected. But there are clubs that have sponsorship. There are academic units where you can potentially host an event or do something like that, and be able to get your brand out there and connect with students even more. Participating in student learning. So this is something that a lot of employers don't really know about, but it's a really great way to get access with both the faculty and students, is by working with capstones and providing capstone projects to the programs that have that opportunity. It means students will be working directly with you on a project that you have outlined, and that will be part of their academic journey here at ASU. So it's a way to connect with the different academic units. Coordinate with our corporate engagement network. I actually recently developed a shared role between Career Services and the corporate engagement network. And that group involves things such as getting connected with ASU to do research projects, or ASU now has a variety of commercial real estate that's available for companies to headquarter in. So there's lots of different ways to connect with the corporate engagement network. Becoming a mentor within our mentor network, which I'll address in a little bit. Getting connected with our alumni network. Again, big, long, terrible title includes alumni engagement, and we do have connection with our alumni association and our alumni chapters, and being able to connect there. And obviously, probably the biggest thing is working with ASU to hire interns and full-time positions. So Jose, flip to the next one. There you go. So Handshake. So I'll talk briefly about Handshake and kind of what it is, but Handshake is our job posting system. So you can find Handshake at joinhandshake.com, and then you register as an employer and can connect with ASU. So there's a couple really neat things about Handshake and a couple of things to consider or know as you get connected in the platform. So first of all, Handshake is not exclusive to ASU. There's about 1,100 universities that are in Handshake, and each one has their own ecosystem where they're managing employers and jobs and students. What that means from an employer standpoint is that you're able to get onto the platform and quickly connect with multiple universities. So mentioned there was a Wildcat on the call. You can easily connect with both ASU and U of A, as well as connecting with NAU, or maybe you want to connect with Cal or New Mexico or Purdue. You know, there's ways you can connect with multiple universities and post your positions across several universities. Now with that, something to know is that each university manages their own ecosystem. So there might be recruiting standards that they're expecting employers to meet in order to be brought into their system. So as examples, specifically when it comes to ASU, we would like our employers to have a physical address. So that's important. No PO boxes, no temporary addresses, no residential addresses. So that's something we look for within our recruiting standards. Likewise, for third-party recruiters, I mentioned that they're allowed in the system, but they do have to jump through a couple extra hoops to get there. And then if an employer does not have a careers page, then we'll typically ask them for a few job descriptions beforehand. Not that you'll be kicked out of the system. There's just kind of a holding opportunity while we understand what opportunities you're trying to recruit for. Now, Handshake also at ASU is intended for degree-related positions. So the positions that are getting posted in Handshake are internships and full-time careers that are degree-related. So as an example, if you're with a hotel chain and you are hiring for your corporate roles, your sales roles, human resources, marketing, all of those will be degree relevant and be able to be accepted in Handshake. But if you're hiring for a bartender or a pool attendant or something like that, we have a different system to post student opportunities and just hire students for part-time jobs. So again, Handshake is used for those full-time and internship opportunities. And there is some gray area in there. So thinking about like, okay, I have an organization that I've been working with who needs an administrative assistant. And I asked, well, is it, if an applicant has a degree, is that preferential? How do you treat that? And they said, yes, well, we would prefer somebody have a degree, but it's not required. You can put that in the position and generally they'll be accepted. That knowing that the degree is a leg up to earning that position is important when you're posting positions in Handshake. I think I saw a few in the chat that there's other universities part of it. Handshake at this point is most public universities across the country are part of Handshake. There's a few exceptions. I think I've come across like Texas A&M still has their own system, Tennessee, maybe a few other schools, but generally public universities are in there, as well as several private universities. Grand Canyon University is not within Handshake. They still have their own system to post to. And so if you're looking to recruit from Grand Canyon, you're gonna have to work with them directly. So that's kind of an overview of Handshake and what you can do within the system. Likewise, just going to recruiting students and how you can use Handshake. In posting internships is a key way for employers to engage. So we do have a significant number of our students that earn experience outside the classroom, most commonly from an internship, with about 60% of our undergraduates completing an experiential learning and almost 70% of our graduate students. So getting connected early with talent, posting those positions in our system, and providing access to students out of those programs is a key way to engage with them. Okay, and then I mentioned Mentor Network. So Mentor Network is a great way to engage with our students and get connected and be able to just provide workforce advice to our students and graduates that are coming out. Now, you do not have to be an alum to be part of ASU Mentor Network. You can join as a professional, or if you are joining as an alum, you will get different permissions within the system as far as how you can engage with the platform and work with students, but it's not required to be in the platform. Our students go into the platform most commonly to ask questions about industry or ask questions about their major being valuable to an employer. And you can engage in the platform and connect with them there. The platform is divided in a similar way of the career interest communities that I mentioned earlier. So being able to connect within a public social human services category or a healthcare category or a STEM category is something you can do within the platform. There's not a framework for mentorship dictated by the university. It is entirely up to the mentor and mentee. So I'm part of Mentor Network. I would say every few weeks, maybe once a month, I get a connection request from a student. And sometimes that is, I just go have coffee with them here on campus and we chat and talk about what they're looking for. Sometimes it's all virtual. We just meet virtually. A couple of them, it's turned into several meetings and having conversations over time. That setup is entirely up to the student and the mentor to figure out what that could potentially look like. But there is the advantage within the Mentor Network of creating visibility for your organization or for your industry to be able to answer a question I'll pick on Leah as a Mayo Clinic representative talking to a student who's in the Health Solutions program and is questioning their skills and what other maybe certifications they might need to get into a position. If Leah's engaging in the platform and is able to connect with that student right away, Mayo kind of moves up the list as far as their attention and where they might want to go work after graduation. So it's a great platform to be able to connect with the student community and connect with them directly and virtually, which is great too. So it makes it very accessible. So that's the end of my information here. I did see several other questions and I do have time. So I'm happy to answer any questions from employers, alum, whatever they need when it comes to ASU Career Services.
Travis, I think this might have been covered in the chat, but just as a subject matter expert, can you confirm the information that was provided in regards to incoming freshmen or students on campus getting connected with a job at ASU?
Repeat the question, Leah.
Sure. So in regards to incoming freshmen or existing students looking for employment on campus at ASU, could you tell us a little bit more about how they can find out about those employment opportunities?
Yeah, so we do have a platform for student employment, and I think probably what's best is I get the information off to the board to be able to send to everybody who's in attendance so that there's a link for Handshake as well as a link for our student employment site. And so on our student employment site, there is an on-campus opportunities button for students who are living on campus. Maybe they don't have transportation and they want to, for example, work in my office. My office has about 45 student workers doing a variety of tasks, and it's an on-campus job that's really accessible for students. Or there's opportunities for employers to post jobs off campus. I mentioned bartender or pool attendant, or working in retail or restaurant, something like that. There's a button for employers to be able to post that and make those positions available as well. And then it's real easy for students to access and search and apply to those opportunities. Typically, when I post a position, I have 40, 50 candidates in my first week and a half of having the position up. So it's really accessible for students and they're very familiar with the platform.
That's awesome. Thank you, Travis. And then there's another request in the chat box for your contact information.
Yeah, so
If
I'll
you
go
don't mind
ahead.
sharing.
I'll put my email in the chat just so it's here and from there, but we can also send it in a follow-up from this conversation. And like I said, I'll include links to Handshake, the student employment platform, as well as Mentor Network.
And forgive me if I missed anything or anyone, but those are the only questions that I see in the chat box. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to include in the chat box, or unmute your microphone to ask Travis?
Hey, I see a question in the chat box for you, Winslow, regarding the upcoming employer panel. Someone's asking for more information.
Yeah, I was gonna have Verily answer that, but basically we will hosting a employer panel in the April 15th. If there's any employer who is interested in being presenting and being part of the employer panelist, feel free to reach out. I believe I'll send out I have included the NETPA's email. You can reach that, or you can reach to Verily directly, or any of other board members. Essentially, we can help you hook it up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Winslow. And I will talk about that a little bit later. But Travis, wow, thank you very, very much. What an amazing presentation. I learned a lot, great questions from participants. So thank you so much.
Of course, Verily. And I did see one comment in the chat that it did make me think of another thing that I wanted to address. And again, I will include in a follow-up. A list of student clubs and connecting with them. So I will also include that link to our Sun Devil Sync, which is our club directory. That way you can research. It will typically have a contact person that you can reach out to directly if you want to get connected with a club. I will preface that with saying that this is March, we're post spring break. So a lot of clubs are doing their elections for new leadership. So if you do reach out to a club and don't get a reply back, don't be discouraged. Either there's some leadership turnover going on, or students are honestly focused at the end of semester and not thinking about what activities they can do before the end of the year. So, but there's that opportunity through the end of the year, through the summer, to make those connections with clubs and organizations and figuring out what their plan is for next school year. Some clubs do have opportunities for employers to come in and present and connect. Some of them host their own career fairs. Some of them, it's just, I mentioned club sponsorship, those kinds of things. Sometimes they'll make it only available to sponsors. Sometimes a club will say, hey, can you bring us pizza? And we're happy to have you come present. And so each club is independent and has their own rules, but I would encourage you to jump on the platform, find some of those clubs that are most interesting to you, and do the outreach to the contact that's in there. Likewise with Handshake. So if you're a larger employer and you want to host your own info session or mixer or something like that, once you have access to Handshake, you can post those events within the system. And again, students will see those, be able to sign up and connect in that space. Leah, I think Mayo's done that quite a bit. So if you have any insight on what you guys have done in the past with that, feel free to share it. But it's a good way to connect with students across a broad audience rather than just with a narrower club.
Sure. So we have a paid account at Mayo Clinic for Handshake, but also knowing Travis is definitely a key to success. So he is your guy when it comes to anything and everything Sun Devil employment.
Thank you. That's great. Well, again, thank you, Travis, and thank you, everybody, for your questions. Any other questions before we move on? Any other questions for Travis? Okay. Let's see. I can't see the chat now. Are there any other questions before we move on? Yeah, that's Winslow. All right. Well, thank you again, Travis. And we'll now move on. And there we go. So my name, again, is Barrett Keenan, and I work for Arizona Work, Maricopa County. Thank you. Our pleasure, Travis. And I'm going to talk to you today about some free resources for job seekers and employers. So next slide, please. So as I said, I work for Arizona Work. We're the statewide workforce development network. And what do? We help employers of all sizes and types recruit, develop, and retain the best employees for their needs. And for job seekers throughout the state, we're a great resource. We provide services and resources, including access to opportunities for apprenticeships, training grants, and employment opportunities. So again, I work with Arizona at Work. I actually work with Maricopa County. We have career centers in Glendale and Gilbert that are open for job seekers. We have computers available for job seekers to work on their resume. We have free Wi-Fi, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of resources for job seekers at our career centers. And we have lots of flyers about jobs for the job seekers to pick up. So some additional resources for job seekers include our Virtual Employment Academy, which is a comprehensive workshop where job seekers can learn the best career option for them. And another resource that we have in Maricopa County is we have funds for qualified applicants to undergo training. For example, a lot of interest in CDL drivers, barbers, and phlebotomists. So again, resources. Any job seekers on the call interested in getting our job blast, please text AZATWORK to 22828. And once a week, you'll get lots and lots of information, jobs and resources, anything employment related. So I'd encourage you to sign up for that. The next slide, please. Okay, now I just want to talk about our community partners. As you can see, these are all resources for job seekers. They all involve help for job seekers. They either post jobs or they have lots of events for job seekers. So again, some recognizable names there, but I'd encourage you to check them out if you're actively looking for a job. Next slide, please. So a couple of upcoming events. First one, Maricopa County is having a hiring event on March the 25th. They are hiring for air quality, environmental services, and planning and development departments. They are a great organization to work for. So anyone on the call interested, please feel free to check them out. It is on March the 25th between 12 and 4. So next slide, please. So here in the West Valley, where I'm based, we are having a career fair on the 30th of March. As you can see, from 12 until 2, and we have these 4 great employers that are going to come and be here. So we encourage all the job seekers on the call, or all the job developers on the call, to please let your clients know and come along and see us on the 30th. That's going to be a great event. And we do have an upcoming hiring event, AZ Hires Vets, as you can see. There's the one on the 30th of March and another one on the 20th of April. So again, lots of information here about their hiring event, and I'd encourage you to check it out and register now. As you can see, if you have questions, you can email veterans at azdoa.com. Next slide. Now, this is the important bit. I've been waiting to get onto this. We are having our next employer panel on Friday, April 15th, between 10 and 11:30. This is a great opportunity for employers to come and let the job seekers on the call and the job developers on the call know about their companies, the sort of positions that they're hiring for, their salaries, the process of getting hired, etc. Now, employers confirmed so far on Mayo Clinic, Terrace Health, and Hartford. And I know, Bob, you're on the call and you work for J Curve. So we're excited to say that J Curve as well, you only just heard about it today. So a J Curve will be featured on the call. So any employers on the call that are interested, you're welcome. Interested in this event, so please let me know. I'll put my email address in the chat. And then our next employer panel will be on Friday, June the 17th, which I know sounds a long way away, but it'll be here before you know it. So any employers on the call are interested in participating in either event, I'll just again put my email address in the chat. And please feel free to let me know. So again, email here. Can't spell, never mind. So there we go.
Hey, Verily, I see in the chat that Community Bridges would like to be a part of either April or June.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. No, Bob, the job fair on the 30th is already subscribed. We have 4 employees for that, but I will definitely keep you in mind for a subsequent one. And Bob, I understand you work in the East Valley. You're in Tempe, I believe. So our career center in Tempe does host some job fairs. So I can certainly put you in touch with a colleague there if you want to do, come to any of our Maricopa County job fairs. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so again, very excited. So great to have the interest for our events from employers, and we look forward to seeing you. So again, thank you, Travis, for such a wonderful presentation. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We really, really are so delighted that you came and joined us today. And finally, everyone have a really great weekend. Thank you very much.
Hey, Leah, you had your hand up.
I do. I just saw a question in the chat box and I'm not sure if it was addressed. So real quick, Verily, there was a question in the chat box about the match of jobs that a job seeker was looking for last time he used Arizona at Work services. Would you be able to talk more about how they could get the most out of those services and maybe how to find greater success in using the services?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, best thing to do is send me an email. I'm going to try and spell it correctly here. But basically, you can contact me and I will put you in touch with our career advisors. And as well, I can send you information about all the resources that we offer for job seekers. We offer so many resources. I haven't got time to list them all today. But as initially, if you'd like to send me an email, and again, I can put you in touch We have lots and lots of resources at our fingertips, including ONET Online, which is a great source for anyone who's looking for a job and maybe isn't totally sure what they want to do. We, again, as I mentioned, have the Virtual Employment Academy. So lots of resources, but I will put my email, and I hope I spell it right this time. There we are. Verily.Keenan@maricopa.gov. Please do send me an email. And again, I will put you in touch with all our resources and help you in any way that I can. So
Yes, and just for any participants on the call, just note that the last version of Verily's email is the correct one. The first one had two dots. You don't want that one. You want the one with the one dot.
No, well, I managed to spell it correctly this time. So I do apologize, but that is my correct email address. And again, I'd encourage you to please reach out to me, and I'll be very, very happy to help you, let you know about Arizona at Work and our services and how.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to Garrett and to Bob, please email Verily regarding your interest for April, so we can get you on the book for our April presentation.
Right. Cindy, I've just seen, yes, we offer amazing resume help. We offer standalone resume classes. We also have our Employment Academy, which covers resume help, interview preparedness, etc. So again, Cindy, I look forward to hearing from you, and I can put you in touch with our resources. So absolutely. Well, thank you very much for asking.
Thank you, Verily.
Okay, pleasure. The lights